Can you imagine 1,000 children starving, alone, and rejected by every country on earth, adrift at sea with nowhere to go? Every colonial port turned them away. Every government said no. But one man, with no army and no empire, looked at these children and said one word that changed history: yes. This is the incredible, almost forgotten story of Maharaja Digvijaysinhji of Nawanagar, India's forgotten hero, who built a little Poland in India and saved hundreds of children from certain death. It was 1942. World War II had engulfed Europe and Asia. Poland had already been invaded by Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Millions were displaced, and hundreds of thousands were deported deep into the Soviet Union, including children who lost their families to hunger and cold. When an amnesty was declared by the Soviets in 1941, these traumatized civilians, many sick, starving, and orphaned, began the harrowing journey out of Siberia toward freedom. Through Iran and Afghanistan, they were transported to ports on the Arabian Sea, only to face rejection again and again. Ships carrying these children, some as young as 2, many still in shock, attempted to dock. British-controlled Indian ports, under pressure and overwhelmed by war logistics, turned them away. Some historians note that hundreds of Polish children were part of this group needing a safe harbor. They were drifting in the Arabian Sea, not because they had no destination, but because the world had no compassion left. Word of the stranded orphans reached the palace of Maharaja Digvijaysinhji, ruler of the princely state of Nawanagar in Gujarat, India. When his advisors urged caution, warning that the British colonial authorities wouldn't like it, he simply asked, "How many children?" "Nearly 1,000, Maharaj." Without hesitation. "Then we will take them in. The British may control my ports, but they do not control my conscience." And so he opened his arms and his land to them. The Maharaja's summer estate at Balakati, near Jamnagar on the Arabian Sea, became their sanctuary. Within weeks, dormitories with individual beds, a school where Polish was taught, a library of Polish books, Polish chefs hired to cook familiar food, medical care and gardens full of flowers and fruit trees, a chapel so they could pray, something banned back in Soviet camps, all built and funded at his expense. This was not a refugee camp. It was a home where children could feel safe, heal their bodies, and remember who they were. The Maharaja personally welcomed these children. In the eyes of many of the survivors, "You are no longer orphans. From now on you are Nawangarians, and I am your Bapu, your father." Children who had known only brutality began to play, sing, and laugh again. They staged plays, learned football and volleyball, celebrated Christmas under a tropical sky, and even danced Polish folk dances, memories of the life they had almost lost forever. For the first time in years, they were more than refugees, they were children. From 1942 to 1946, Balakati was home to these Polish children. Some historians estimate the number sheltered by the Maharaja at around 650 to 1,000, cared for with dignity and respect. Meanwhile, India was under British rule, yet this ruler acted from human decency, not politics. He insisted on education, culture, and joy, ensuring they kept their language, religion, and identity. When the war ended, most children returned to Europe. Many reunited with family members. Others went on to live full lives across the world. Some stayed in India's memory forever. Their gratitude endured across decades. In Warsaw, a public square, Good Maharaja Square, and schools honor his name. In 2011, Poland awarded him the Commander's Cross of the Order of Merit. Every year, survivors and their descendants gather to remember the man who chose compassion when everyone else said no. This story is more than history. It's a reminder that individual moral courage can transform despair into hope. When the world looks away, one person's kindness can change thousands of lives. When others said no entry, one ruler said, "You are my children." And that one decision meant the difference between death and life for a generation. Subscribe for more untold stories of courage from history. Share this video if you believe kindness is timeless.